And we are live. It's the Revved Up 906 podcast, a Detroit Pistons podcast, to be exact. And I'm Hudson.
And I'm Ryan.
And before we get into tonight's recap of the Detroit Pistons versus the LA Clippers, I want to talk to you guys about a few quick things. First off, just if you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe. If you like our content, make sure to give us a thumbs up. And also, if you have anything that you want to comment, questions, concerns, anything that you want to talk about that we talk about in today's episode, make sure to comment below because we would love to know your guys' thoughts and takes and questions and comments on anything, because we would just love to hear what you guys have to say about the recent Pistons playing very well. We would love to know what you guys are thinking, even with them losing, but still playing well. It's kind of a lot going on. So make sure to comment below. We would love to know your guys' thoughts. Without further ado, let's get into tonight's recap of the Detroit Pistons versus the LA Clippers. Tonight's final score was 136 to 125 in the Clippers' favor. And Ryan, when talking about tonight's matchup, it's kind of interesting because the Pistons again tonight shot over 50%, shooting 50.6% from the field. And usually that's a recipe for success. And there's a lot of factors that could kind of go into this loss. But Ryan, what stands out to you as far as why the Pistons lost this matchup? Because they played well overall.
Yeah, I would say the biggest thing is turnovers. That was one of the big issues against Cleveland the other night. We were competing all night long, could have won that game. What shot us in the foot is us turning the ball over, producing points, and going on runs that the Cavs had in that game to finish it out. And the same thing happened tonight. We were competing with the Clippers all night long, in it to win it. Like, it was back and forth for a long time. And what ended up being the nail in the coffin is turning the ball over. Us turning the ball over at one point in time, that we had, I don't remember the exact number of turnovers, but there was at least 8 fast break points off of that for the Clippers. They were just feasting on us all night in that category. And like, if we take out the turnovers and we don't, and we hit those shots, honestly, we probably would have won this game because at that time. But then, like, you combine turning the ball over and then all of a sudden not hitting shots and the Clippers going on that run. That's what sealed the deal for the Clippers to go on that hot run, 16-2 to end the game. And it was really the turnovers that killed us.
Yeah, and the Clippers' top scorer and really player of the game was Kawhi Leonard, finishing with 33 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists, 12 of 17 shooting from the field, and 6 of 8 from the three-point line. He just shot so efficient, and the Pistons just didn't really have an answer for him. Eventually in the future, we're going to hope that Asar Thompson's going to be able to match up against guys like Kawhi Leonard. He's just not quite there yet in his career. He's still young, still kind of getting that NBA body right. Kawhi Leonard's just on another level. I mean, he's just an absolute beast. But I really think if you take away Kawhi Leonard and you just have Paul George, Westbrook, Harden, I mean, really, this game is very gettable. I mean, James Harden only put up 4 points. I mean, that's just incredible that the Pistons were able to keep him to only 1 of 10 shooting. So the Pistons defense was sound at times. We saw guys like Asar Thompson get 2 steals, 1 block. The Pistons did fine defensively. It's just Kawhi Leonard hurt us the most.
Yeah, he like couldn't, seriously, he couldn't miss a shot all night long. I mean, yeah, he missed
Yeah.
a shot, but it was just like every single contested shot he took, something you wouldn't think he was going to make. He was nailing it every single time. And when you can hit the tough shots, good things are going to happen for you, because it wasn't even the easiest of looks that he got that he was missing them. He was getting contested every single shot he took. So the fact that he missed a couple here and there, it wasn't necessarily that it was a bad shot or anything, or it wasn't necessarily that he was wide open and then all of a sudden he misses. It was just we were trying to slow him down all night long, and he finally missed a couple. But yeah, it's hard to contain multiple different players on one team. So the fact that you had Kawhi Leonard going off for the 33 points, I mean, that's understandable because we held Paul George to 18, held James Harden to 4, Westbrook off the bench had 23. That's another thing that killed us.
Hurts.
But
Yeah.
still, the fact that we held Harden and George to only 18-4, that was a great sign for us because defensively we were there on those guys. They couldn't kill us all night. It wasn't until the late stretch that the Clippers went on for Paul George to end up with 18. James Harden could not shoot the ball all night long, finishing 1 of 10. We were filling the lanes the right way. We were playing solid defense. But again, if you take away Kawhi's 33 points and then you limit the turnovers, which we had, because we had 16 turnovers to the Clippers 9. That's not great. But if you limit the turnovers and contain Kawhi Leonard a little bit more, we win this game.
So to flip the coin, we talked about the Pistons defense and not being able to contain Kawhi Leonard and Russell Westbrook. Now let's talk about the Pistons offense. And when you look at the box score, Jaden Ivey and Bojan Bogdanovic jump off the box score right away and grab your attention. But I want to highlight Marcus Sasser first because this guy is continuing to impress me. And I think very early in his career, he is showing signs of being an absolute lethal scorer. Tonight, he had 21 points, 8 of 10 from the field, 5 of 6 from the 3-point line, and got 1 rebound, 1 assist in there. And just played terrific. I mean, Marcus Sasser is finding his own shot, and man, is he so good because, and the thing that impresses me is Marcus Sasser is not the biggest guy. He's around 6'2", 6'3", and this Clippers team is very lengthy. They got a lot of length. They got, Trey Mann, Mason Plumlee, Kawhi Leonard, Paul George. Those are all guys that are over 6'6" feet tall. That is a tall Clippers team. And the fact that even with all that length on the defensive end for the Clippers, Marcus Sasser was able to weave in and out of their defense, trying to find his own shot. And the thing with Sasser is he's not always the most efficient. But tonight, he was firing on all cylinders. And Marcus Sasser, I think, is going to be a big asset for this Detroit Pistons team for years to come.
Yeah, you think about what he did tonight, the 21 points, only missed 2 shots from the field, 1 from 3. He had a great game. And it's something that I made note of, not just tonight, but there's been previous times where he's gone off the way he has tonight. And you think back at who those opponents were, most notably the Bucks. He seems to always go off against good teams. And that's what's crazy to me. Because you think about like all these other teams that we play, like the Hornets, they struggle, the Wizards, they struggle. And Sasser, when he's gotten an opportunity in those games, he's had solid flashes at times, but it's never been like he's going off for 20 plus points, or it's never like he's going off for 10 plus points. He's always having a good shooting night, from time to time, and then dishing out a couple of assists here and there and playing solid defense. It's not anything like tonight or the most notable game against the Bucks, but it just seems like every single time the opponent is above 500, one of the better teams in the league, he seems to have a knack of going off. And that might be just because of his high basketball IQ, the experience he's had at the college level, played 4 years at Houston. And then you look at where he is now, he's 23 years old. He's not like this young average rookie who's 18, 19 years old in the league. He's one of those older players. He has the experience and the IQ to play with the best of them. So the fact that he's out here and it seems to be at opportune times against great teams, he goes off, and it shows you how capable he is to play at this level. But then it also assures Monty Williams and the rest of the coaching staff, and then even the front office with Weaver and everybody, that he can play and he deserves to get minutes. And it's just like great play like this against great teams is what is going to lead to Marcus Sasser getting a large amount of playing time in the near future. And I'm extremely excited for that.
Yeah, Marcus Sasser, if he keeps it up, he is going to make a big run for the Pistons. And whenever we see him play well, the Pistons are competing all 4 quarters. That's the other thing. His play is not also going unnoticed. Now, are we getting the wins in the end? No, but the Pistons are competing and they're going to catch some of these wins here and there, like we saw in the couple weeks prior. But we're going to Little Caesars Arena here in March, and I might just have to get a Marcus Sasser jersey. If he keeps playing like this, I'm copping. I'm not lying. I will get a Marcus Sasser jersey because when we drafted him, I go, this guy might be legit. We'll have to see. But something you have to notice when looking at the box score, and you're seeing Monte Morris get more minutes, Alec Burks, Sasser. We're seeing Killian Hayes get 0 minutes, and he's healthy. So, Ryan, what are your thoughts on Killian Hayes not getting any playing time? Is it warranted? Do you think we should have some looks at him? What are some of your first thoughts that come to mind?
I don't necessarily think that it's him playing bad, because there's every single time he's out there, his assist to turnover ratio is phenomenal. He's one of the best in the league at that. It's not necessarily that he can't facilitate. It's not necessarily that when he gets the minutes, he's not producing. He's just, his biggest struggle is shooting the ball. He's great in the paint, but you take him outside of the paint, he can't shoot the three. And outside of the scoring issue that he has, he's a great player overall. He's a solid defender, and he can dish the rock at any given time. But my biggest thing as to why he's not getting this playing time, and considering that he's completely healthy, no issues, is you look at like the game from tonight from Sasser as an example. 21 points, had a phenomenal game, as we've mentioned. You have Monte Morris, who just came back off of injury. The Pistons are going to want to see what they can get out of him, because if you think about it, he's barely played all season long. He's missed majority of the season now. He's played only a handful of games at this point. And the biggest note from James Edwards, he threw that out, that the Pistons are wanting to get looks on him right now because they've been actually receiving calls from contending teams, and they're not wanting to deal him without seeing what he can bring to the team. And so that's my biggest takeaway as to why Killian's not getting these minutes, is that they're wanting to see and get some tape on Monte to see what he can bring to the team. Because what he's doing so far in his limited minutes, like tonight, 10 minutes, he's not getting a lot of playing time. But when he's out there, he seems to be producing. And so it's mainly that as a thing. So maybe that's the reason why Killian's not getting the minutes. But then Sasser's playing great. Monte, in the limited time, even off of injuries, playing great. And then you throw in even Danilo Gallinari and Mike Muscala, who we acquired at the deadline, not the deadline, rather, but we acquired in that Bagley trade. They themselves have been producing at a very high level since being acquired by the Pistons. And when you add the combination of two guys that are producing at any given moment, you don't even need to give them a lot of playing time. It's kind of hard to take those minutes away from them. And then Monte Morris, they're wanting to get the tape on, but even outside of that, he is producing. It's hard to take away minutes from him. And then you look at Sasser. It's hard to take minutes away from a guy that really doesn't even get that many minutes to begin with. But out of the minutes he's granted, he has games like this tonight. So it's not necessarily that Killian's not good enough to get these minutes. It's just, I think they're wanting to take the opportunity to get a look at Monte Morris. And then Sasser's just taking full-on advantage of the opportunity he has already. And then the excellent play and production out of Mike Muscala and Gallinari. And then even Kevin Knox at times is what's killing the playing time for Killian Hayes.
Yeah, and when Marcus Sasser, in his little minutes he typically gets, is just going off, it's hard to take him out of the game, because you're like, oh, he's just making such an impact. Like, maybe Monty Williams is looking to get Killian Hayes some minutes in these last 5 games, but Marcus Sasser is just playing very well, and Monte Morris is holding his own for the most part. He only had 10 minutes tonight, but I think in the next couple of games he will get more minutes. I think it was just Marcus Sasser going off why he didn't get as many. But the Pistons' leading scorer tonight was actually Jaden Ivey with 28 points, 7 rebounds, 3 assists, 11 of 8 from the field, 3 of 8 from the 3-point line, which is, but only 3 turnovers for Jaden Ivey, which is a huge improvement for him. We have seen him at times get 4, 5, 6. To see Jaden Ivey at 3, that's pretty good. I'm happy to see Jaden Ivey at 3 turnovers, but Jaden Ivey, I just can't say anything bad about him. I mean, he's just playing so well as of late. And it was nerve-wracking because he did have his sophomore slump in the first 25 games. We had to address it. It was a very real thing. He kind of forgot what his role was with the Detroit Pistons, but he's really turned it around the month of January and late December. And it shows incredibly, because now the Pistons are competing. They haven't gotten blown out by 20 in a minute. And it's because of guys like Jaden Ivey and Marcus Sasser that are stepping up. But Ryan, what are some of your thoughts on Jaden Ivey's play? Because he's just totally doing everything that we could ever ask him to.
Yeah, and he's excelling, right? And you look back at like Cade coming off that injury recently. So obviously Jaden was the guy during that.
Right.
And he stepped up. And it seems like whenever they need him to step up, he steps up and then some. It's not like he's just going to step up, take what essentially Cade would normally give you on any given night, and that's about it. He usually takes the reins and goes full on. He just goes out there and puts on a show like he has been. And if you look back at the Cleveland Cavaliers game there recently, you saw Donovan Mitchell talking to him after the game, and what was asked during that, well, what was talked about during that conversation, it was pretty much Donovan telling Jaden, like, hey, you're legit. Like, just go out there and work hard. You're going to see results. Don't worry about the noise. Don't worry about anything. Don't worry about the criticism. Go out there and do your thing like you have been. You're a stud. And the same thing happened tonight after the game. You saw Russell Westbrook talking it up with Jaden, because all these guys are starting to notice, holy crap, Jaden Ivey is a budding star. He's just almost getting there to the level that he could be to excel at. And he's just so close. And the play from tonight, 28 points, big reason why. Only missed 7 shots from the field. Great game from him, because he's normally one to take a handful of shots and miss a handful of shots. But the last couple weeks or so, he's been hot. He really hasn't been missing anything. He hasn't been turning the ball over. He's playing within this offense at a high level, and there's not much more you can ask out of him, because he's doing nothing wrong. He really isn't. At times you could go like, ooh, why are you taking that shot? But he's able to finish around the rim, and you're like, okay, never mind. I'm not even going to question that next time. But other than that, there's just no doubt in my mind that he is legit, and he can even continue this on for the next year or so to finish out the season.
There's 2 more players I want to mention before we wrap up tonight's recap. And I wanted to mention Cade Cunningham. He had a solid outing. He wasn't necessarily the star of tonight's game, which is completely fine, but he was rock solid. 16 points, 11 assists, shot just under 50% of 7 of 17 shooting and 1 of 3 from the 3-point line. He had 3 rebounds in there, but Cade Cunningham, rock solid at the point guard position. We can't ask a whole lot out of that. But then Bojan Bogdanovic, 26 points. He was shooting lights out. I love it when Bojan starts shooting so efficient. Everything he throws up just falls. He shot 6 of 9 from the 3-point line. That is just incredible. And 9 of 13 from the field. But Bojan Bogdanovic is just playing on another level as of recent, and just very, very, very consistent. I didn't have huge expectations when we picked him up in free agency 2 years ago, to be honest. And he's just been playing so well. I just love Bojan's turned into one of my top 3 favorite Pistons on this current team, honestly.
Yeah, Bojan Bogdanovic is a complete and utter stud. Whenever he gets hot, oh my goodness, great things happen. It's not just good things, it's great things.
Yeah.
He's like a hot tamale. He's just out there. He can't miss. And that just shows you how great of a shooter he is, how high of a basketball IQ he has. And it's just great to see. It really is, because you think about what he can give you on any given night. It's very impressive to see. And what he did in 30 minutes, like 26 points in 30 minutes. I talk about efficiency. You know that. When guys are shooting at such great a clip as he shot tonight, you can just go to sleep happy knowing that, oh, okay, we have some guys that are producing for us. They're not playing bad. But yeah, Bojan Bogdanovic, heck of a night. I can't ask for more. 6 of 9 from 3. My goodness. Bojan, I love you.
I love it when you do that. I love it. I agree. Bojan's just he's playing great, and it's hard because it's like, why can't you be 25 years old? You know what I mean? Like, if he was 25, we would be like, oh my goodness, like, we got a stud on our hands. But it's unfortunate because he's 35 years old, or 32, however old he is. And you're like, oh man, like, too bad you're not ageless. If we could keep him forever, that would be amazing. That will do it for tonight's recap of the Detroit Pistons versus the LA Clippers. Tonight's final score was 136 to 125 in the LA Clippers favor. Before you guys leave, I want to make sure to mention to you guys that me and Ryan will be taking a big old jaunt to Detroit March 14th through the 19th or 18th, I believe. And we will be there for the back-to-back matchups against the Miami Heat at Little Caesars Arena. So make sure to be on the lookout for all kinds of different vlogs, podcasts, and content on our Instagram and YouTube. So make sure to subscribe to get ready to tune into all that content, and then be out on the lookout and make sure to follow us on Instagram to check out all the content that we will be posting. We'll be posting pre-game videos of the guys warming up. We'll be posting content of Little Caesars Arena and during the games. So make sure to follow us on Instagram if you have not already followed us. We will see you guys in the next Revved Up recap. Peace.